Okay, so in one of the last videos, I showed you how to put in a zipper and then turn it into a little pencil bag or whatever. But in that method, I told you that there were two kind of different methods to put a zipper in a seam. And the method I showed you the other day, we did this pink zipper. And the thing I wanted you to see about this pink zipper is the method that we used of basting the seam, opening, and then stitching in creates these little flaps of fabric on either side that hide your zipper for the most part. Now this is a hot pink zipper in white fabric, so we do see it a little bit, but you can see that when those are folded down, they hide the zipper pretty well. So this other method I'm going to show you is going to do something different. You're going to use the second method if you want your zipper to be very obvious. So if you want it to be like a feature of whatever it is you're making, the second method will give you better results for that and won't hide the zipper as much. Okay, so we used a pink zipper for the first one on black and white fabric, and this time we're going to use a green one so you can keep track of which is which. Okay, so last time we took our fabric and we sewed our fabric down here on a basting stitch, and then we ironed that seam open and applied the zipper. This time we are not going to attach these two pieces of fabric yet, so that's actually going to come later. And we're actually going to use the zipper to attach them. So the first thing we're going to do is, again, make sure that our zipper fits within our seam line, is the right size, and then we're going to line the right side of the fabric with the right side of the zipper, so the upside, and we're going to put those two facing each other, making sure our zipper is placed where we want, and we're going to pin this zipper right along the edge. Now remember, I always suggest pinning perpendicular to where you're going to sew. Just makes things easier, but I'm not going to use a ton of pins here, but I am going to go very, very slowly so that I don't get off track. I'm just going to check myself. Notice my zipper is partially unzipped. We're going to try an experiment, and it may work and it may not, and if it doesn't, it's fine. We have the other way to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and unzip my zipper all the way to the bottom for right now. Someone just walked by and bopped my camera person. Say hi, Presley.
Hello.
Sorry for the little boop there. All right, so I'm going to pin this down this side. Now we're going to look really closely at the machine. So, Presley, can you get in there? All right, I have put foot E, which I told you the other day is our zipper foot. And in this case, before I did this, I checked how I wanted it set up. And what I wanted was to be able to sew right down along this tape, sewing this on this tape onto this fabric without doing the seam to begin with. So I'm going to get everything positioned. Now there is, if you can see it, kind of a slight stripe that runs along a zipper, and I'm going to try to use that as my goal. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drop my needle way down, all the way down into the fabric on that line that I want to sew. Okay, I did check my stitch length. I didn't remember to tell you that, but I did before I started. All right, so I'm going to go ahead. Ooh, I got caught on a pin. That's a good reason not to sew over pins, kids. I wasn't paying attention. Let me get back on. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to show you my trick, and we'll see if it's going to work. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to drop my needle. Make sure that needle is buried. I'm going to unpin here, and I'm going to bring my zipper tab up, and I'm going to bring my zipper tab as close to my foot as I can. I'm going to leave that needle buried. It's very important that that needle stay in there. But then I'm going to see if I can very gently and very carefully get this zipper tab to go past my foot. Now, some machines, the zipper foot is narrower than others, so you may not can always do this, but in this case, it worked. I have not moved off the spot I stopped stitching, and I'm ready to just keep going. And now I have taken my pins out, so I'm just going to be very careful with my fingers to make sure that I stay right on that line that I mentioned. Again, you see my little zipper stop right there, that little metal thing? We always go around that zipper stop, roll our needle in, lift and turn if we're going to do a box, right? But this time we're not going to do a box. We're just going to keep sewing right off the end of this tape. Hang on just one second. Let me get it lined up just really nice. Okay, So there is side one of my zipper. Okay, so we sewed with our right side of the zipper to our right side of the fabric, sewed down this edge, dodged our little thing around our needle, and now if you look, you can already see that when I iron this, there's going to be no flap over the zipper, so you're going to see a lot more zipper. So now what do we do for the second half? Well, we're going to do the exact same thing we did with the first, although we may have to move our foot around if things aren't working in our favor. So what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to come and do the exact same thing I did. I'm going to pull this fabric that I sewed to earlier out of my way, and I'm going to pin again with the right side of my fabric to the right side of the other piece of tape on my zipper. Okay, and just do exactly the same thing. Okay, so coming here, dropping my needle right in that line that I like the looks of. Now, one thing to be clear on here is to make sure that you keep this fabric from your first piece from getting up in your stitch line. And that can happen if you're not paying pretty close attention. So just make sure before you start that everything's neat and nice, and as you go, just check yourself every once in a while. So we're gonna go forward, back, and go. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to get just a little bit farther. I'm going to try my zipper trick again. It may not work as well. We will see. If it doesn't, it's okay. We got another thing we can do. So I'm going to drop that needle way down in there. I'm going to lift my foot. I'm going to come here, get my zipper tab, and just do my best very, very gently. Sometimes you can even do a little extra lift on your foot. This machine does that really nicely. There, my teeth is out. My teeth and are where they need to be because I have not moved my needle, and my tab is out of my way. Drop my foot and keep on going. Okay, so, and there we go. So now if I flip this over, you will see that we, again, have a fully functional zipper. However, this time we're gonna need to make sure that we do some careful ironing. So the next thing we're gonna do is go to the ironing board, and I'm gonna show you some tricks on how to get this nice without melting your zipper. Okay, so while that's heating up, I want to show you this. So this is the back side, the wrong side, and you can see where my zipper is sewn in. And you can see my stitching, and I kept it pretty nice and straight. It's not the best stitching I've ever done, but it's pretty good. And what we want to do now is make this side look nice. So this is our right side, and our fabric is wanting to kind of encroach on our zipper a little bit like that. And we want to make sure that we spread it all out nice and neat, and get as much of it as exposed as possible, because that was our goal with doing this method. So what we're going to do is first with our hands, just literally smooth the fabric back out of your way, spreading the seam as much as possible. Now, when you go to iron on a zipper, this is a plastic or polyester zipper. That means that these teeth will melt if you get the heat too high. So I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to turn my iron down to SYN, which stands for synthetic, okay? And what that's gonna do is make sure that my iron is less likely, doesn't mean it's impossible, but it's less likely to burn. And then the next thing I'm gonna do is when I come over here, I'm not gonna sit my iron directly down on it. I'm gonna sit it so the edge of my iron is on the edge of my tape, right? And I'm not gonna go over the teeth. I'm just gonna iron, see how that looks? That's not terrible. I'm left-handed, so I'm going to switch it around this way and do the same exact thing again. Come over here, use your iron to kind of pull that fabric out. You can kind of tell that you've got it pulled back enough when you see your little stitch holes. So run it right down beside that zipper again. Now, if you're feeling brave and you're really steady-handed, you want to go ahead, you can go ahead and turn your iron up to cotton or linen, and then make sure your steam is all the way up, because steam is the ultimate condenser for fabric, and it's safe for pretty much every fabric you're going to come in contact with. It's got to get a little bit hotter, but steam will help set. There it is. If I just run that edge just on the cotton fabric and not on the zipper, then it's gonna just condense it to hold that really neatly and nicely. Okay. All right, so I have just been informed by the student workers here that I have made Cosmo and Wanda bags from Fairly Odd Parents. Wasn't intentional, but I'll take it. All right, so the next thing we're gonna do, if we're gonna do our little zipper bag again, and we're gonna have a match set now, is we're gonna line everything up as neatly as we possibly can, and we're gonna pin our edges down to our corner. Remember, at my corner, I like to do a 45-degree pin. It just makes it a little bit easier to turn that corner. I'm gonna line this bottom edge up neatly, put a few pins there. Another 45 at my corner. And one over here near the top of this zipper so that it stays. And I'm actually folding my tapes down. That's just my preference. It doesn't really matter. Okay. Now, I could, if I wanted to, I could go ahead and change feet here, but I don't really need to for what I'm going to do. It's going to be so quick. So I'm just going to keep my zipper foot on there. The thing I am going to do is make sure that my needle is in my center position, and I'm going to use my 15 or my 5/8 line to do my stitching, because that's how I set this up for this zipper to fit, okay? So a little front stitch, a little back stitch. Remember, when you get to the corner, you get that needle right where you want it on the corner. You can hand roll towards you if you need to. Sink that needle, raise your foot, turn. And that's how you make a nice, crisp, clean corner without any bunching, okay? We're going to continue to sew using my 15 line, which from your angle probably doesn't really look like I'm on the 15, but I am. Okay. Okay, I'm going to hand roll again to make sure I get exactly where I want. I'm going to leave that needle down. I'm going to raise my foot, and I'm going to pivot. I didn't get it quite as far as I probably should have. We can make it work. Put my foot down. Oh, good, it's down. It just didn't look like it for a second. Okay, and we're going to sew right back up here. Now, you see that tab right there? That's going to get in my way. I didn't realize that. So I'm going to go ahead and fold that puppy down, because hitting metal with a needle makes a lot of racket and a lot of mess that we don't need. So I just dodged it. Okay. All right. Now let me reach over and grab my scissors that are in my bag, I think. Oh no, I didn't put them in my bag. There they are. Okay, and then always remember that we are going to, whenever we have a right angle like this, we don't want bulk, so we're going to clip our corners, and clipping our corners reduces the amount of stuff we have to get in there, and makes it easier. Now, the only thing with this is now you got to try to get it open, and this sometimes takes a minute of kind of messing with it until you get it started. Then once you get it started, you can get your hand inside. So I'm gonna pause for a minute while I fiddle. I clipped my threads and I'm turning all of my corners. So here's that bottom corner where I did that 45 and clip. And if I spend just a little bit of time here with my finger, it's probably good enough. Oh, there we go. That's getting pretty squared off there. Tug there, get everything all nice. And now, if I went back over to my ironing board and ironed it so it was nice and flat as that, then you would see that the two different methods, this one allows us to see more of the zipper and make it more of a design feature, and this one covers our zipper up more. So that's the two basic methods that you can use to put in a standard zipper in a seam.